Hello everybody. Well, today's video is going to be about knitting, and just ignore the crazy cat over there. I often wonder what he sees outside the window, and I go look and there's nothing there but just leaves, but I think he must be looking at birds or something. Look at his tail. Just anyway, okay, never mind the cat. We're knitting today. I want to catch up on some of my knitting projects and get them done. The first thing is, I know you don't want to hear this, I am making another pair of slippers. This slipper pair is made from my Homespun. I think I've already showed you how I was trying to learn how to do a bulky single ply spin so I could make my own slippers. Now I have mostly finished this slipper. It looks just like a long rectangle with an opening in it, but it will turn into a slipper. I haven't done the reduction yet on the end down here on the toe because I'm afraid of running out of yarn, and I don't have any more of these two colors. So I stopped that slipper before I got too far into this little ball and used it up, because I had to start the next slipper, which is this one. I wanted to try to make sure that I had enough of that kind of golden orangey. It's got lots of fun speckles in it. I tried last time to show you a close-up of this yarn, and I don't know if it'll do it or not. If you can see any of the little flecks of green and red in there, maybe I can take a picture of a close-up of it. Anyway, so I'm hoping I have enough here to get just as far. On this slipper, I need to sew up the end of it. I was so obsessed with this yarn. I mean, here's the first of the blue that I did when I was first trying to learn how to do that bulky single ply, and you can see I had lots of thick and thin, lots of thick in there, not much plait, and then some of it was over twisted. It's very inconsistent. I have no idea how it's going to felt. No idea at all. This one is a little bit better in the blue, and then when I did the gold, it was much more consistent. But we're just going to have to see how they turn out and whether I have enough of these two colors. If I don't, then I'll have to spin some more of this. This is domestic top. I'll have to spin some more in a different color for just the toes. We'll see what I do about that. So I want to get this knitted in the washer today. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to show you that'll be on this video is continuing with my my vest. So I'm going to knit away on this and put it in the washer, and then we'll move on. All right. All right, there's my little tail. And now I have my heel all sewn up, and I can keep on going toward the reduction at the toe. And we'll see if I have enough of this yarn. The slippers are finished being knitted. All right, this is how they turned out. I know, that little blue toe. Oh, so I did run out of my own homespun, and in order to get these done and solve the problem, I pulled out this yarn, which is some of that yarn from Uruguay. It seems to be the most similar to my homespun slipper yarn. It did worry me when I was using it because I realized that my yarn is much more tightly twisted, a bit over twisted compared to this. This I know felts beautifully, so I I really don't know what's going to happen when I take these and drop them in the washing machine, which is what we're going to do next. And I'll show you how I do that. Oh, and if you're wondering why I'm in such a dither to get these things done, I'll show you once I get them off my feet. Do you remember these slippers? These are the ones I've been wearing since early August, every day. They've been wonderful. This is the good slipper, the one I wear on my left foot. Looks great. It's been washed a couple times. Fits wonderful. This is the Franken slipper. You remember the one that was too long, and so I cut a big chunk out of the middle and then just brought the toe down and stitched it. I stitched it with yarn first, kind of a brown yarn. It didn't hold on the top as well, so then I went back with some red thread, I think. Anyway, this is what started happening, and the hole started, you can see this line of stitching goes right here. The hole started down here at the stitching where it had a weak spot, and then gradually it worked its way up along my toe. So this slipper is quickly becoming a non-slipper, but that's a lesson that that felted slippers and felted everything, if you wear it and put some, really some wear and tear on it, if it's all one piece, it holds up. If it's got a seam, it might not. That seems to be what I'm learning from this. So that's why I am eager to have a new pair of slippers. And so we're going to go put these into the washer right now. I don't think I've done this before, is show you what I do. I take these ugly old things that are huge. They look like they're about a size 14. And I lay them in the bottom of my little washer. This is a half-size washer. Then I put 3 tennis balls. One of my tennis balls lost its skin. I keep a pair of my husband's blue jeans here on the back porch. They are now very, very stiff from being used for, like, I don't know how many pair of slippers I've done now. Over 15. So I put those in there. And then you don't want too much water, so I set it to probably maybe about a half a load. And of course nothing's really dirty, but I do think soap is important to this process. And I'm going to turn it on hot water. I'm kind of living in the dark ages, so in order to get hot water on my machine, I actually have to turn hot water on and cold water off. But I don't mind that kind of thing. It makes me feel like I'm at one with my grandmothers. Okay. All right. There we go. And we'll see what comes out of there. Well, I have now done 3 full washes on these slippers. Where's the other one? There it is. Look at how much the toe shrunk up. It's just a teeny little square. It's the next morning and I'm wearing my slippers. Let's see how they turned out. Okay, oh, I see one little thing I need to snip off. Hang on. Whenever you change the color from one yarn to another, of course you get a little knot. So when I changed from the blue to the yellow, I did it pretty close to the edge, not right on the edge. But because it's so well felted, you can just kind of cut that knot off. It's not going to come undone. And then it's nice and smooth. Well, I had to put these things through 4 full washer loads, and then after that I put them in the dryer for 15 minutes. And they turned out fine. They're a good length. It's very interesting that they shrunk lengthwise, but not as much in the height. They're rather tall. They're almost like a boot, but they're not too tall. So they'll be good in winter. Pretty cute. I think that little dot on the end is just hilarious. This yarn felted and fulled very well. I had to look up. I'd forgotten the difference between felting and fulling. The felting is when the fibers all knot together and form a fabric. The fulling is when it actually shrinks in size, when the entire piece shrinks in size. So these felted pretty well. I mean, they're very well uh, tangled together, all those little fibers. But it took a long time to get them to shrink. But they did finally. That's a good lesson in go ahead and do it another load, even if it feels ridiculous. Go ahead and do that. So they're great, and they're very, these are very thick and sturdy. If you don't have a nice warm cup of something, you should go get one. Pause the video and go get yourself a cuppa. But I think when you need to shrink them a lot and it takes a while, you end up with a really thick fiber. So these are going to even last. These are going to last a very long time. Okay, so done with those. They'll go back on my feet. Now it's on to the sweater vest, and I'm going to show you where I am and what I'm going to accomplish today. We're going to knock this thing in the head. I want to be wearing it by the weekend, I think. It's been a little while since we looked at this, so I thought I'd just catch you back up, especially for you new subscribers. And I want to say thanks to the new folks. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers, which is just unbelievable. Okay, so here's the back, and as you can tell, this is huge. I'm hoping it will shrink a little bit maybe when I wash it. And then this, and I have the right sides together because I used to sew a lot, and that's just how I am. And then here is the left front panel that I have lying here, and I've finished that. And I had to alter the pattern so much. I made it bigger, and then when you're trying to meet at the top, like this neck is going to be outrageously too big. I'm afraid I may have really messed this up, but we'll see. So I had to still make these match up. So I made some notes to myself on my phone of the alterations that I did to make it work. And now I've got this one to the point where I can start reducing at the armhole opening right here. I think I take in like 5 right off the bat. I don't think there's any more reduction over there, interestingly. Even though it seems to curve, you don't really need to reduce. But there's this very gradual reduction at the neck edge here, and I'll need to carefully do that. All that work. You knitters out there who do good jobs, yeah, I know you're shaking your head and moaning and groaning at this point. I can't blame you at all. I finished that panel, the front panel. This is the top of that panel, up the shoulder seam. And I need to bind it to the back. Yes. Okay, so there's the little armhole thingy. So I want to put these two together with something called a 3-needle bind off. I'm going to transfer this from, I think this is an 11 needle. I'm going to transfer to 10.5, so I have plenty of those. And this is why I love circular needles, because there's not a right and a wrong end, so I don't have to try to get it off on the other end. Take it on this end. I do have the video open right in front of me here at my desk to this nice lady who does it so easily. Okay, let's get rid of those 11s. And she even does it in slow motion for those of us who've never done this before. It's not like, it looks easier than a Kitchener stitch. A Kitchener stitch is a stitch you use to close up the toe on a sock, is the time I've used it. Now I want to make sure my right sides are together. I don't want to do this the wrong way. I have this one from the back. I have it on a needle holder. A stitch holder, sorry. And I am going to use, since I need 2 needles, I don't really need the other end. I just need them to be next to each other like this, like little railroad tracks. I'm just going to use 1 circular needle to do that, okay? And so I'm going to slip these off of here. Now there. Now there's 13 stitches on each needle. She had hers so nicely lined up like little train tracks. Now this is my live wire over here. I cut it and then realized I shouldn't have, so I had to in the front, grab the yarn, pull it back through, lift it off, and then bind off. 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 And actually, these stitches are pretty loose. That also helps. It's a pretty loosey-goosey sweater. I'm still not a very good spinner. My yarn is quite inconsistent. Through the front, pull it through, lift it off. Oh, let's use this one. And bind off. One. Okay, they're very loose. Okay. Now I'm going to hold that and we're going to look at, oh, that's a nice seam, isn't it? What do you think about that? I like that. Okay, time to go do the other one, then I'll show you. All right, did the shoulder seams, not the side seams yet. Okay, but I just wanted to lay it over me to see if it was anywhere close to fitting in. Actually, it is kind of big, but not horribly big. And I'm so shocked, but yeah, the neck is kind of fine. It's not close to the neck. This is a vest that's going to sit off, which I really kind of like. I didn't want one that was all up around my neck. This is just for being around in the house. I'm thinking about putting little pockets right here. I love to have pockets. I love the color. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. It's rather nice now to have this vest all in one piece, even though it's not assembled yet, really, but at least it's all connected. Now, I was surprised that the next thing I do is not to sew the side seams together, but it's to finish off the edges. So this is one of the armholes. Let me see. This is the right armhole, and I've picked up stitches, and the way that you do that really is just to put your needle through the V of a finished edge stitch and pick up a piece of yarn. You can even start a new piece of yarn so that you end up with new stitches. And I'll put another video up there. Same lady doing this. She does a beautiful job. So now that I've picked up the stitches, I'm going to do, I think it said 3 rows of garter stitch, which is just knitting and no purling, which is lovely. So I'm going to do that next. Now I'm knitting away with this garter stitch. The pattern did say to use a smaller needle for this step, and I was using 11s, so on the rest of the knitting, so I'm using 10 and a halves now. They didn't say how much smaller. That's not much smaller, but I guess they just want to make sure that these stitches are nice and tight. But then when you bind off, after you do the 3 rows of garter stitch, you're supposed to bind off loosely so that it's not too tight. I don't know what all that purpose is for. Anyway, but this is just nice little easy knitting. This is very nice compared to some of the slightly more complicated stuff I had to do before. Well, I've finished that armhole. I am really pleased with the look of this. Isn't that nice? That is picked up all the stitches, did 3 rows of garter stitch, and then bound off. It's not a fancy border, but I think it looks great. Let me see if the focus will. There we go. Let's go down some. And okay, time for the other one. I decided in the end I'd had enough of knitting inside on the couch on such a beautiful fall day. So I came out to do some of my picking up stitches on the inside edge. Out here with the puppy dogs, the chickens. It's just such a beautiful afternoon. Who could sit inside? This is the weather I've been waiting for all summer long, and then I don't want to sit inside. So we're making progress. This is, what is it? It's about 3:30 now. I've been steadily knitting on this sweater today in between a few errands. Okay, last night I sat around and knitted all of the edging, and we'll look at this closer later. I'm really pleased with the edging. So easy, and it certainly tied it all together. Now this vest is still way too big. It's just really pretty. It's not as bad as it could be as far as size, but I do want to, I need to tighten it up some. So I'm going to wash it today. I'll take you along on that. And I'm going to give it a little agitation, see if I can soften it up and get it to felt just a little bit. Really, I want it to full some. I want it to shrink up just a hair. We'll see how much success I have on that. Otherwise, I feel like it's going to be a very floppy vest. When I put it on, I have to like find the shoulder seams and put them up on my shoulders, because otherwise it tends to fall this way. It's kind of big. But the colors have turned out well. This is in my dining room. The lighting isn't the best, but I hope you can see. Yeah, I've pretty much gotten what I was hoping for. Wow, I can't believe it. Okay, so let's look at those edges a bit and then give it a wash. Perhaps here close up in the kitchen where I'm going to wash it, you can see what I mean by it being a bit big. Now, here's the edging. That's 4 rows of garter stitch after I picked up all the stitches. The pickup started down here at this edge and went all the way up and around the back of the neck and all the way down here. And that's another benefit of circular needles, is that you can get them with very long cables. I don't think I could have fit that on any kind of a regular straight needle, but a cable does work. So there's that edging, and I ended up with enough yarn. I was amazed at that. I couldn't believe I had enough yarn. But you see how it really goes out too far. It's too wide this way. It's too wide across the back. It's really, really wide across the back. I was so afraid of getting a tight vest that I started it on the back on the bottom, and that was my original cast on style, and that kind of set the size really for the rest of it. I did do what they said and reduced to 13 stitches across the top of the shoulder, but of course the width of the back was still pretty much. So we'll see. I'm wondering how this shrinkage will go. All right, we're going to put it in the tub. Now I'm here at the kitchen sink. I am going to use pretty warm water. I need to be able to agitate it with my hands, so I don't want it to be so hot I can't put my hands in there. I'm just going to use a little bit of powdered laundry detergent. I could use liquid dish soap. I could certainly do that. I also read online that if you need the fibers to open up on your wool when you're washing it, to use Murphy's oil soap. Now, and the girl gave a reason for that. It was the pH of the oil soap helps to open up the fibers, but I want to be cautious with this. If I ever get it too small, I can't get it bigger again. It absorbs a lot of water. I finished washing and rinsing and squeezing it, and then I laid it out here on a towel. This is on my dining room table, but I do have a nice thick plastic protector on it. And I could tell it had already just felt it a little bit. Everything on here is soft. Even the ropey yarns have softened up. They've opened. The fibers have opened and bonded with others next to them. And then I took it and put it in the dryer for 2.5 minutes. I was too scared to do it any longer. I might put it back in a little more. We'll see. I feel like I should measure it. I feel like it shrunk in length, just that little bit in the dryer. It certainly started to felt, and I just love that. I don't really know if you can see it. The colors really are not very true. This looks very bright. It's not. It's very subdued. Some of the oranges look like very stripy. They're really not. There's a whole lot more red in there. More like on this side. Anyway, I've got a really bright light shining on it. But I wanted to show you the lovely edging. I'm still amazed that the easiest knitting I did on this produced the tidiest look. I just love the edging. I do like the shape of the neckline, that nice gradual slope. It did call for buttons. I didn't want buttons, as I said. Maybe I'm going on and on too much. I wish the color were better. It's really a very deep, deep red with all these other nice warm fall tones. Well, I've got something else in the dryer now, some kitchen towels, but when they're done, I may throw that in. I can tell it's still really too wide, way too wide, but maybe about the right length. We'll see.